Hello, everybody. It's Tanya Costa again. First of all, I'm going to do 30 days of things that I like. And one of the things that I truly love is music, especially jazz music or jazz music and the follow ups of it. And as well, I think what I am sharing is jazz music and some of the lessons that musicians or very accomplished musicians have to share. And so what I'm gonna do is that I'm just gonna cover a little bit about 2 things of one musician. He's an alto saxophonist. You even without knowing it, you've heard this person. His name is David Sandborn. And David Sandborn, throughout the 70s and 80s and onwards, he was the studio guy in New York. You've heard him. Most likely you've heard him in recordings from David Bowie to pop music to all over the place. He's an incredible alto saxophonist. So I'm going to cover 2 things today. One will be David Sanborn, and as well, David Sandborn is going to talk a little bit about Miles Davis. So let's go. We're going to listen a little bit to David talking, or let's hear a little bit of David playing, not entirely. Okay, here we go. And without further ado, okay, this is from the Hideaway album, but this is David. Okay, so I'm pausing that a little bit. First of all, oh my God, this guy is so soulful. I mean, it just, whoo, hits you right down there. Or that's where it affects me. I mean, not only is he a tremendous alto saxophonist, but just, oh my gosh, what a feeling he can conjure up, you know? So, here, so I'm going to change speed a little bit. And what we're going to do is this. Let's see. Okay. I have to stop sharing. Let's see if I can do that. Okay. And what we're going to do again is that I'm going to share something else. Here we go. Bear with me. Okay. So I'm going to give you the premise. This is an interview documenting Miles Davis. It's called Round Miles. And this is David Sanborn talking about when he moved to New York and he was staying with one of the famous pianists, or not pianists, excuse me, one of the most famous arranger, Gil Evans. He was staying at his house because he didn't have a place to stay. And he's talking about when they're all kind of gathered around and they're listening to a recording that Gil Evans had made of all of them playing together, including David Sanborn. And I guess David Sanborn's solo was being, recorded. Was on this recording. And so he's talking about this experience of, having his playing being shared with the great master, great jazz mentor, Miles Davis. So let's listen in and see what we can pull from this. Here we go.
Is there anything in particular that you could?
Well, I was at Gil's house, and I was working with Gil Evans' band. We played Monday nights at the Village Vanguard, and we were listening to, Gil would always tape the shows, and we were listening to playbacks of one of the shows, and Miles came over, and he was sitting there listening. And I'm like, oh God, I'm like really nervous, because I knew I had a solo coming up on the tape, and I'm like, shit, it's Miles is sitting here listening to me, and I'm listening to the solo, and I'm like, at one point I did something, on the tape at performance, and I just kind of involuntarily said, God, I wish I hadn't done that. And Miles just looked at me and he said, you should have done it twice. And I thought, okay, he understood how to manipulate space. You know, he understood
That music was
how to
that
use
music is lines
silence.
and spaces.
Yeah, it's sound and silence. It's interrupting a silence. You know, it's a very, you know, that's, I think, what to me was his great lesson for me, was just, you know, you got to use the space. You don't fill it unless it means something. You know, there's a theater director named Peter Brook.
Okay. Wow. All right, let me get this. Okay, and I'll go back to full screen here. Oops, wrong. Okay. Okay. And I'm fumbling. There we go. Hello again. I'm back. So anyway, wow. Okay, first of all, you know, this is just the cachet that Miles Davis carried because, you know, at that time, Dave Sandborn's a big name, but he's intimidated by Miles, you know, and it's very interesting. You know, he had the involuntary reaction of like, have you ever had this reaction where you've done something, you're like, oh crap, I wish I wouldn't, oh, I wish I didn't do that. I wish I didn't say that. I wish, you know, whatever. Oh, if I had that to do over again. So it's so interesting. The response to Miles, you know, that Miles gave to that, you know, to David Sanborn's reaction was, you should, you know, he said, I wish I hadn't have done that. And Miles said, you should have done it twice. So you ever done a mistake? And, you know, we self-admonish ourselves about that mistake, or we beat ourselves up about it. So in this case, Miles like, yeah, you should have done it more. Um, so immediately that's going to change your frame of reference. You know, especially, you know, coming from somebody like Miles Davis, coming from a mentor, you know. Second of all, what he's talking about is, you know, the usage of space. And you're interrupting silence. So it's so interesting. If you're going to interrupt silence, make it meaningful. So I think, you know, where in our lives can we actually use that lesson? Where in our lives can we apply that lesson? For myself, and maybe some of the things that I do is active listening. You know, you really, really, really have to listen to people. And in coaching, obviously, that business is all about listening. It's all about active listening and choosing the right moment and the right thing to say that's going to have impact. You know, so I want to leave this as an open question. What are things in your life where you can interrupt the moment to do and say something meaningful? I want to hear your perspectives because it may sound subtle, but this is a really, really important lesson. It's an important life lesson. So I'm looking forward to your reactions. But I also think it's very instructive. Like, here's this incredible saxophonist. And yeah, he's intimidated by the great master, Miles. But really, Miles said, man, that was a mistake. You needed to do more of it. Isn't that cool? So anyway, thank you for listening. I tried to put something up yesterday and it got copyright checked. So I disputed it and hopefully it comes back up. So thank you for listening, and I'm looking forward to sharing more. Bye-bye. Oh, yes, like and subscribe. Like and subscribe. Please like and subscribe. Bye-bye.